I come from an MDR, and one thing about MDRs is the whole premise of what they're supposed to do is give us some kind of visibility into something that may be happening inside our premise that we might want to take action on, whether it's known, attack activity, it's something that's odd and that doesn't behave well. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience in doing adversary emulation with an MDR in place? Do MDRs typically detect a lot of this stuff? Is that not even what they're designed for? Talk to us a little bit about the interplay between MDR and simulation.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and that it comes out in every class we teach multiple times. So theoretically, that's what they do, is they detect these attacks. That's what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, they don't detect them a lot of the times. And so the question at that point becomes, what is it that you're really trying to test? Are you testing that endpoint protection, or are you trying to test how well you can alert and detect those types of attacks? When we get on a test at Black Hills, there's sometimes when we're put on a network and they say, okay, go for it. And then you run some attacks. And of course you're getting blocked by, whatever it is, whatever endpoint software they have. And pretty soon you're just kind of beating your head trying to get around it. And eventually you do, or you can get around it. But then you've wasted, a day or two or three trying to get around this solution that they have, that they know is pretty effective. And so the question is, what is it that you're trying to test? I think it's a good idea to make sure that they're detecting what they say they are. So it's a good idea to run these tests with that knowledge in place. Make sure that they are. It's also good to turn that off and say, okay, if somebody is able to bypass that, if somebody can get in there and turn it off, are we still able to detect it? So it's good to run it both with it on and with it off, because you do want to be able to make sure that any of these attacks, they're not good, right? If they can run on your network, we want to know about it. That's something that we should know, we should be alerting on, we should be detecting. And so just relying on your endpoint, that's not necessarily the smartest thing, because at Black Hills we get around that every test. We're able to get around it one way or another, but it just takes time. And again, what are you trying to test?
Yeah, I really like that approach, because